Live streaming is on.
Hello, everyone. Sorry about the technical issue we faced. So sorry, I just want to confirm that everybody can hear me. So if people can start typing in the chat box, just saying that you can hear me and see me, that would be great. Okay, thank you so much, Rashir. Okay, again, my sincere apologies for the delay in starting. It's just a technical issue, and thank you for the EV Live team for fixing it. So yeah, let's just jump into it. My name is Ahmed Samah, and I'm the program manager for the GreenWorks Alliance. First of all, I would really like to thank you all for coming and welcome you to this session. Afef, if you can move forward. So during this session, we're basically going to talk to you about what is first a quick introduction about HEVOS. Then we're going to talk about the GreenWorks program and the fund that we are operating under the GreenWorks program, its objectives. We're also going to then share with you what are the who's eligible to apply, what is the criteria, how do we evaluate the process, and at the end we're going to leave some space for you to ask questions and we will answer it. And we are also going to share with you the frequently asked questions that we have been getting, which I believe that a lot of them would be already answered throughout our slide deck. So HEVOS, let me start by saying what HEVOS does. So HEVOS it's an international organization based in the Netherlands. We believe that we work with very smart projects in key areas where we try to tackle a variety of elements. A big one of them was basically tackling the unsustainable use of the planet resources. Hence, the GreenWorks program came on board. Big approach of one of our biggest approaches is trying to incentivize structural and systematic change. So, like one of our objectives we always talk within the team is the best project that we can really feel we achieved something meaningful is then when we realize we are not needed anymore, that other local players and local entities can take over, which is again really big part of how the GreenWorks program is being structured. So Afif, maybe go to another. So what is the Challenge Fund for a Just Transition? It's a fund that we are managing, HEVOS' GreenWorks program. And basically, the fund offers a conditional equity-free cash. And we basically induce this cash into small and growing businesses that are contributing to the green transition process. Important to highlight again, mentioning our strategy in general and our exit strategy as HEVOS and our exit strategy under the GreenWorks program is the idea of the fund is we want to incentivize commercial and non-commercial funding to tackle the green transition process. So we really put a condition that we have been we're trying to incentivize other financiers to invest in the green economy and the small and growing businesses for their scalability and to contribute to this program, which is really key part in the criteria that we will come to later, that we say we want to make sure that you are bringing further financing, leveraging the fund that we are offering to you. The next slide. So I'm now going to hand it over to my colleague, Afef, who's the Senior Project Officer for the GreenWorks program, to talk to you more about what are the advantages of the Challenge Fund, how can you best utilize it, the criteria, and later on we will jump into FAQs. So Afef, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ahmed. Hi, everyone. We will now go through the applications. So, who will be eligible to apply for this fund? What are the selection criteria, etc. So the idea behind the matching fund and how can you apply or how can you be eligible for the matching fund? So the idea is in order to make free equity fund as much efficient as possible. So this fund can match between 15 to 100% of a commercial, non-commercial investment. We mean by commercial, for example, from loan from a bank, investment from an investor, etc. No commercial. It could be, for example, a grant, an award, etc. About to be secured by the Green SGB with a ceiling of 15,000 euros. So we cannot exceed 15,000 euros per startup or per project or per SGB. So the specific ratio will be, of course, dedicated based on the quality of the application. Like some project, we can match 50% of the total amount invested. Some other project, we could also fund 100% of the total grant secured. So who is eligible for that? Small and growing businesses must be legally incorporated and registered in the countries that we are working on, which is Egypt, Tunisia, and Algeria. It could be also in the 3 countries, 2 of these countries. The SGB must have a minimum of three full-time employees, and they are aiming to support or to create 20 new existing jobs within 6 months to 1 year. The SGB must have also other financing leads. So they need to bring some financing or investment, for example, from VCs, business angel networks. They could have, for example, a loan from commercial banks. They could have, for example, grants or awards. They could have a reinvestment from the company's revenue. And finally, a commercial contract with other commercial entities. So what are the selection criteria? So the SGB needs to have we will be based on the number of job created per startup. So of course the startup or SGB should apply and fill out a form, a narrative one and a financial one. But here we will see the number of job created per startup that you will of course mention in your application. The feasibility of the timeline, 6 months up to 1 year of creating/supporting jobs. The gender balance, the core team and beneficiaries who will get hired, the relevance of the green transition, and finally the capacity of the organization, which means the financial health for organization, staff, and team, which means here after we will do the pre-selection of the startup who will apply, we will send you or we will send the pre-selected startups like an Excel sheet. We will ask for some documents, including CVs of the staff, including the financial papers of the organization. So also we will be based on that.
Sorry, just to add something here, if you can go back off it for a second. Sorry. Part of the capacity of the organization as well, of course, is the capacity to deliver what is being suggested. In terms of as that's also very relevant to the feasibility of the timeline. Can we estimate that you can create, of course, the jobs, but also implement this project and spend that amount of money within the allocated time period that you're proposing? Important to highlight that the project also, like GreenWorks, the current fund has a deadline to finalize by the end of next year. So we need with an extra 6 months to close down. So by June next year is when we have to conclude all activities and reports, etc. So yeah, sorry, Afif.
It's okay. So what do we mean by jobs? So jobs should be improve working conditions, which means formalizing the informal jobs, training, or for example, doing the training and capacity building for the staff who is working with the SGB. It could be, for example, improving the safety of the staff, etc. So this is one of the definition of the jobs within the GreenWorks Fund for Just Transition.
Which basically means, sorry, Afif, this means that this is existing jobs. So it could be work with existing jobs or creating new jobs. So that part is, yeah.
Yeah. So how many jobs the company or the startup will create or support as well? So the created jobs, supported jobs, the jobs generating living wage, minimum wage of 1.3. So the question is, does the job have to be within my company? So does this employees should work within the company itself or within the SGB itself or the startup itself? We can also, the answer is no. Yani we can also count direct jobs in the supported company supply chain that you can document and trace. For example, here, you as a startup, you can work with a provider. And thanks to you, the provider, for example, will hire people. So if you can prove that these people were created thanks to your work with this provider, we can count these people as employees. Okay, what types of jobs we finance now? The job that has a very direct impact on job created, supported. Second thing, the jobs that enhance environment, social governance reporting, fulfillment of a commercial contracts, start of a new business unit, initiation of a collaboration with a third party, for example, and finally, building the capacity of the staff. You can, for example, suggest a project that can increase or build the capacity of the staff, train your staff, for example, on new technologies, etc. And of course, we are open for other ideas. If you think that you are eligible to apply for the GreenWorks Fund for Just Transition, there is a form, an online form. We can send you by email or here in the chat. So we'll figure out with Sabrine how you can have the access to the link. And you can send the application to the GreenWorks Fund, greenworks@hivos.org. We will receive your application. We will do the interviews after, of course, selecting, like pre-selecting. We will do the technical financial due diligence. So our financial officer or our team will send you an Excel sheet to of course, do the assessment of your startup, administrative papers, and so on. Then we will do the capacity to handle finding assessment. We will check your funding or proof of investment papers and documents. Then we will do the final selection, we will do the final results, and of course we will do the contract initiation with the selected startups. Okay, so I already mentioned how to apply. You will, of course, fill out the form. There is also a budget that you can find, and there is a template of the budget. There is a template for the narrative proposal, and we will need from you also proof of financial needs. For example, if you already had an agreement with investor, if you already have a signed agreement with some investors, VCs, if you already have a paper that proves that you are applying for a loan from a bank, any kind of proof of investing, financing, please send it to us. And now time for questions.
So how about this? Can we, thank you, Afif. I'm suggesting basically we maybe pause for a second, and if somebody have any questions, can you please fill them in the chat box that haven't been answered yet? We also want to highlight that all questions will be written and documented, and this slide deck will be available to download from our website by tomorrow. We'll also post a link to download it on our Facebook page. So maybe we will basically proceed now with looking at the frequently asked questions that we have been getting, and please just feel free to post any questions on the message board. The message board is under the chat box on the right side of your screen, if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
Okay, so we can. So these are the questions that we already we received already these questions in the meantime, because we already launched the call like a month ago. And of course, maybe we, as Ahmed said, maybe we can miss one of the questions. So it would be great if you can really mention it and put it within, ask your question. It could be helpful for other startups or SGBs also. So Sabrine, do you want to ask the question and we answer, or I can go ahead? I can go ahead, I think. Okay, it's okay.
Go ahead, Afif.
Okay, so one of the question was, does self-investment count as an investment? Like, for example, if the startup or the SGB have money from their family, friends, and so on. So the answer is yes, it could be considered.
Yeah, just to highlight this part as well, it's very important that you can reinvest also money from. It's funny, it says love money. So I think that was a typo of some sort. So does self-investment count as an investment? Yes, you can also reinvest from your own revenues in the company if there's a commitment. However, that said, there will be some implications of that. For example, asking you to open a separate bank account where the money that he was giving as a grant is going to go into it, and we will agree on the how periodic, how often the money from your side you're going to end up investing in this account that will go directly into the project, which is we gave example of some projects that you could be doing, as Afef has mentioned. So,
Yeah, so, but again, like always, we need to, of course, see proofs that this self-investment were done. It's very important to do so, to send us these proofs. Second question, does the investor has to be physically in one of the three mentioned countries? For example, a Tunisian investor living abroad. So the investor could be physically in the country itself. It could be, for example, a Tunisian investor, a French investor, also Egyptian investor, Nigerian investor. There can be a diaspora as well. So no problem within that. Correct me, Ahmed, if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, the investor doesn't have to be residing in one of the three countries. However, the whole project and the beneficiaries and the jobs and the company need to be registered in one of those three countries, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Third question, if the investment has already happened or had already done the last month or 1 year, can we take it into consideration? So here, we cannot accept, and I will, of course, let Ahmed elaborate more. So we can count investments started with the start of our call for application. So we start the our call for application on end of April. So we will take into considerations investment happened starting by end of April, 1st of May 2022.
Important to highlight here, as we said, one of the objectives of the fund is we are trying to incentivize and reward investors or other financing institutions to have more appetite, as you may say, to invest in green businesses and support them, which again, one of the main objectives of this fund. Accordingly, we as Afef mentioned, as a rule of thumb, the investment needs to be happening after the 26th. That said, if there is a commitment from the company, again, to utilize the investment that they have received to support this project that is being proposed, and again, use it almost as them reinvesting their own money into the company, so it could take that format, if that is possible. But that, of course, then needs the approval of their investors to do so, of course. So then we could take it into account, yes.
Okay, thank you, Ahmed. What are the different type of jobs that should be taken into consideration? So here we already answered this question in one of the previous slides. I think this one.
Yeah, this is part of definition of a job that we mentioned. As again, if we can go through them one more time, because this is really important. Sorry if I may. So again, you could work with, there are basically two types of jobs. You either support an existing job or you create a new job. If you're supporting an existing job, then at least we need to see some sort of improving the working condition of those who are we are supporting the existing jobs. For example, formalizing them if they're informal, offering them social security or insurance, something like that. Training and building their capacity, improving employee safety at the workplace, and of course increasing wages to at least achieve a 1.3 multiplied by the minimum wage. We call this a living wage versus the minimum wage. So these are really three important criteria to understand. You either create a new job or you support an existing job with one of those perks.
Thank you, Ahmed. One of the question was also that the application has to be in English, have to be in English language, or is it okay if it's in French? So here, of course, it should be English. So because this is the language that most of our team is talking, so we can well, I can maybe like Arabic language would be, but we highly encourage English language to also not to gain time as well when we do our assessment and when we, of course, get back to the startup and so on.
And just want to highlight here and reflect on that also, Afif. I just want to really state that this is not a decision that we took very lightly, because we do understand that by إن إحنا to confine those who can apply in English is not. I don't think it's not a sustainable approach for the future. However, we need to highlight this is a pilot project. We're just starting the matching fund. And we have to utilize the existing resources that we have. And unfortunately, the team at this stage, we're not all French speakers, and those who will be working on it are not French or Arabic speakers. So that said, we are at this stage, we are reviewing applications who come to us in French. And if we believe that this application is really, or Arabic, and if these applications are really strong, we are happy to proceed with it, but we will ask you to commit that you can send us everything else afterwards in English, because this is how we do our evaluations, our reporting, everything we conduct is in English, at least at this stage, at this pilot stage.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so the legal documents, again, like better to be in English and or Arabic, but we highly encourage you to send us your documents in that language.
I'm sorry about the documents.
The legal one.
Naturally in Arabic or English. Just at this stage, we might ask later on for a translation of these documents in the event you have been pre-selected. So no need to worry about this at this stage.
Yeah. Okay. So can a grant or an award be considered as investment or co-investment? Yes, we already answered this question in the slides. Are the 3 created jobs fixed, or they can be less than that? So saying, for example, like, we mentioned that you need to create 3, you need to have 3 full-time jobs, and you need to create / supported 20 jobs. So here I will let Ahmed answer this question.
And if I'm reading the question correctly, I think the question says, are the 3 created jobs have to be fixed?
Yeah. Like, for example, can we accept startups or SGBs having just 2 full-time employees and can create only 10 jobs or support 10 jobs?
No, the starting criteria is to have 3 jobs as a minimum. And let me be very clear that this is the minimum. So we do expect we might end up having companies supplying much bigger number. So so this is the 3 are currently existing, and you expect it to create 20.
Okay, and the jobs need to be full-time jobs with contract.
Actually, it has to be, again, going back to the criteria about what you define as a job. If it's a seasonal worker who works 2 days a week and he's creating a living wage out of those 2 days, then it counts. But it really depends on the income the seasonal worker is getting out of this. So if the seasonal worker, for example, is working 2 days a week and creating 20% of their living wage, then you count it as a 20%, so 0.2 job. So if you have like 5 seasonal workers, they will all count. Sorry, 5 seasonal workers, they will count as 1 job.
Okay, perfect. Other question. Okay, so can HIPOS be a guarantor in case of like the SGB launch a loan procedure with a bank? If yes, what is the exact procedure to do so?
Okay, let me answer that as well. So basically, yes, you can actually, if you need the money from HIPOS in order to secure a loan from the bank, we are happy to provide you with letters of intent and commitment from our side to the bank. And if the bank provides you with commitment to pay, if the money is in your account from our side, then we are willing to do that as well. but it has to be a case by case, of course, because we need to really confirm that the authenticity of the process and the commitment from the bank to provide the financing.
Yeah. Okay, so how does the exact amount of funding get fixed? يعني, the 15,000 euros, for example, less, more, and the exact percentage of the funding. So here we already answered this question. So it depends on of course, the quality of the application, depends on the health, like the high risk or low risk of course, the organization. Not the organization, like the company, based on our assessment and our evaluation, of course, about the whole thing, the impact, the job creation, the administrative documents, the application itself. So based on that, we can, of course, fix the amount of funding, as well as the percentage of funding, of course.
Yeah, I want to highlight here as well that we are really looking at the fund as the fund is around 1.2 million euros. So we are really looking at the fund as a collective rather than like individual cases. So it's really hard to say that. It really depends on the quality of your applications and other applications as well.
Yeah. Okay, so can a loan already launched the procedures be considered as an investment? Yes, of course, you need to send us, again, like a proof that you already started launching this, the procedures of the loan from the bank. So this is very
One thing I need to highlight when it comes to loans, Afif, also is that you need to be aware that it's important to us that it's not like, you get the money from the bank as a loan and then you utilize the HEVOS money to pay the loan. This is not how it works. So it's very important that we basically, the money that you're receiving from HEVOS and the loan, they co-contribute to a project together. And then so we expect that the money from HEVOS and the loan to be depleted by the end of the project period.
Yeah. Okay, so I finished that, and then I have some questions that Sabrine sent. Yeah, I will check it. Okay, so who will be in charge of selecting the SGP? Who will be the selection committee? So here it will be HEVOS team, of course. Okay, so what is the exact maturity level of the SGB to be eligible? Okay, here, again, like we will be based on the criteria, selection criteria that we already mentioned in the previous slides. But of course, we unfortunately cannot accept a very idea stage in that stage. Okay, so if the SGB is owned by CEO whose nationality is not Algerian, Egyptian, or Tunisian, but the SGB is legally incorporated in one of these three countries, will be eligible to apply. Yes, but the most important thing that the startup will be incorporated in these countries: Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, and of course the impact, the job creation, everything will be happening in one of these countries, or two or three of them. Okay, I think these last questions. Can the procedures take less or more than 6 weeks? Depends, of course. So we did like an estimation of maximum 6 weeks, but it could take a little bit longer or less, of course. Can HEVOS help the SGB to secure the investment leads? Yes, and I can, of course, tell Ahmed to elaborate. So here, for example, if you will need a paper from us to encourage invest in your company, or if, of course, you are eligible, if you fit within our criteria and so on, so we can do so.
Yeah, so answering this question, if you are in current negotiations with an investor, we are happy to provide a letter of intent that if they end up closing the deal, we will finance the amounts. However, that said, we can only give you a maximum of 6 months to secure this, to close the deal before we start transferring any funds. So yes, we can, but as I said, it really has, and also it has to be taken into account that if this is the case, the project needs to be concluded by June next year, regardless. Otherwise, we probably will launch another round. As I said, this is a pilot. The amount of funds we have right now, we were just piloting with it. We will launch a new round that should be available by end of December next year. This year, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So does intern count as a job created? Okay. Here, yes, but if you will hire the intern. If you have a contract that, of course, prove that this intern will continue working with you and you will hire him or her, so it could be counted as a job created. If not, no. In order to obtain the 50K euros of funding from the fund, from the GFGT, is it necessary to invest 50 to 100K in the development of your company? Yes, of course. So you have to, okay, again, like we already said, like what kind of things that you can apply with in order to in your application could be, of course, the development of the your company, the development, even or building the capacity of your team. So the idea is we want to support the startups in their scalability. So this is also the idea. Then I have other questions. Just let me check. Okay. So what about a round of investment? For example, 50K euros from an angel investor and 50K grant. Will this be counted as 80K euros?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the answer. So you're basically utilizing two different leverage financing sources. So yes, this will be counted as 80K. That said, I think you should expect us to approve half of those, which is 40.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless the application is like amazing, a big number of jobs that are expected to be created, then we could decide we can go up to the 50K.
Okay. So can we work in Arabic, like a presentation or business plan? Okay. I think you mean by your question, should the presentation should be in Arabic or the business plan should be in Arabic? This is what I understood from the question.
Yeah, I think this is the question. I think we answered that already. That, again, if you really want to apply it in English, you're welcome to do that at this stage, but please be aware that eventually we're going to ask you to continue working with us later on in English, at least for this round. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Ahmed, for.
There is another question on as well.
I need to check with Sabrine and the team.
I see it. It's on the thing. So basically, someone is asking, what is the minimum period of implementation of the project? Minimum is really up to you, but we don't see anything realistic that happens under 6 months. But if it's something you very confident about doing something in 3 month period, then please do propose it. But we look at something between 6 months and 1 year.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe you can wait a little bit if people they have other questions. Maybe like 2 minutes or one.
Yeah.
But I encourage people, I think we will have, and correct me, Sabrina, if I'm wrong, we will have also this presentation on our page. So in the meantime, if you will see it later on, of course, don't hesitate to ask your questions in the comments box. So our team will answer your questions later on if you're not now here.
We have Fatma, she has another question.
Mm-hmm. What is the question, Sabrine?
I'm waiting for her just to type in her question in the chat section.
Okay.
Otherwise, sorry, maybe people are listening to my voice and I didn't get the chance to introduce myself. So I'm Sabrine. I belong to the amazing dream team you've been listening to for the last half an hour or so. I'm the communications officer of the GreenWorks program, and I was really thrilled to read all of your questions. And this is like part of the presentation is really thanks to you and to your interaction with the GreenWorks team as well as the HEVOS team. So I would really like to thank all of the participants for first bearing with us for the first minutes due to the technical issues, and second for listening to my colleague's amazing presentation. So we'll wait again for a few more seconds just if anyone else has any any other question regarding the program. Also, since I'm dealing with communications, if you have missed this session, or you want to share with one entrepreneur or and someone who is interested in SGBs in general, if you want to share this info session with them later on, it will be available on our Facebook page. I mentioned it on the chat section, and all of the frequently asked questions will be answered and published on our website, which is hivos.org. I will leave you the link on the chat section. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sabrine.
Okay, we have, I think, two more. Okay, Fatma is sharing her experience. I'm happy to see that. Like you're from the Green for Youth program. That's amazing. Yeah, well, again, I would be very happy to
Maybe
continue the support of if there's some sort of investment that could come now. We have another question.
Yeah.
For the budget, should we mention all the budget, including the investment fund and the contribution of HIVOS, or only the funds supported by HIVOS? Look, eventually we are going to ask for both. So if you can provide it now, the fund that you are planning to secure, or the total amount and the fund, the part contributed by HIVOS, please do so. If you are still not sure yet, you can always put the HIVOS component, but be prepared that we will ask to see the other funding, what it contributes to the same project.
Okay, so we have two other questions, Ahmed. So one, actually, it's the situation. This is from Fatma. Well, I convinced a business angel to invest thanks to this program when it was announced at the end of the Green for Youth program. Okay, the question is, so this is an affirmation. Okay, so the question is, les secteurs d'activité des startups. Okay, for the I'm not sure, Sabrine, is this question or just an affirmation from Fatma?
This is Jamila actually posting the security to the startups. If you can, yeah.
The second part of Fatma's question is she's saying, but then the program started almost 1 year later, so I can't apply with the previous investment, as you said, but in reality, the investment came thanks to this program. So yeah, I mean, the investment she got is thanks to the Green Youth. So she's asking if it's eligible or not.
Answering your question, if the investment happened a year ago, unfortunately, it cannot be eligible for this round of funding. But if there is, unless, as we mentioned, there is some reinvestment happening from the company itself into the proposed project or activity that you're coming to us with the proposal with. I think there's another question from Jamila. It's French, so I'm too shy to try to read out loud in front of everyone.
Yes, she's asking, are there any restrictions regarding the startups activities? Like, are there
activity sectors? Yeah.
Again, can you go back, Afef, to the slide with the activities that we support? I would like to maybe just highlight it one more time for others. Again, the project, the type of project we are financing, it's really any one of those, and these are examples we are giving. So it's not like you have to do all of those. So it's really just, for example, you want to create an activity to increase the number of suppliers that you work with in your supply chain, for example. You want to enhance the environmental report and social and ESG reporting. So you want to launch a cohort when you basically document how many CO2 emissions you are saving, for example. You want to acquire a certification. You want to get the GRI certification. To work on the GHGP related issue. You want to get the B Corp certified, for example. You want to get certified to be able to open markets in Europe. These type of things we're more than happy to support, because if you open new markets in Europe, means that you're increasing your production, which means should lead to job creation. You want to start a whole new business unit within the organization that is more green. Let me be clear, it could be in collaboration with another entity. So, for example, you want to support another entity with its waste management. Just giving an example. You want to supply sustainable construction material to a bigger construction organization. So this becomes the two of you working together, and this is an activity or a new unit or a new product line that you're creating that we can support the initiation of. Again, and finally, of course, building the capacity of the staff. One of the criteria that we look at the jobs created is you're also enabling your staff or people working within your organizations to build their capacities for their own growth later on. So this is definitely something that we work on. And also it could be, like you're creating a new product line and it requires new machinery. You could also purchase part of the funds, utilize some of the funds for this machinery or for the training on the staff to use these machinery. So these are the type of if it fits within those, then definitely you're eligible to apply. I hope that answered your question, Jamila.
Yeah, but also I think also the question was, if it's not, the startup is not مثلا in the green sector. Of course not. So we only accept startups in the green sector.
Well, but this is my answer to the question actually.
Exactly.
If you are not in the green sector, but you are trying to become more sustainable and more green and opening something more potential on that, then definitely yes, you could apply.
Okay, perfect. Okay. What else? For the budget, I think we asked the budget, mentioned all the budget, including investment fund. This is we asked it, we answered. There is other question, Ahmed. I remember it. So, if for example the startup is part of our partners' cycles, مثلا they are part of the Green for Youth. They already took grants thanks to our partner, the GreenWorks partner from Impact Partner for Flat Labs or Nahdat al-Mahrousa or other. So the total amount, will we, for example, give them the 50,000 euros or not?
Yes, you're eligible to apply if you have already received some sort of support from HEVOS, but it's important to say that we cannot double count impact that have already been created via the previously supported activities. In that sense, additional jobs will count, but we cannot really count the supported jobs that we have already helped you create earlier on.
Yeah, and I also want to mention something else. If, for example, you already had a grant from our partner of the GreenWorks partner, for example, 10,000 euros, and if we will give you 15,000 euros, we will give you 40,000 euros. So we will not give you the total because the 10,000 euros is already counted as our contribution in your startup. So this is important to mention. I hope I explained it well. So yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
I think we're running out of time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, maybe take this opportunity to conclude, unless Afef or Sabrina, you have anything else you want to add?
No, just one last thing to remind people. If you will have any other question in your head, for example, don't hesitate to again share it on the video that we will post or with our team. Thank you.
And please feel free to reach out whenever you need. We are here to try to support, provide clarifications. We're happy to arrange one-on-one meetings. We know that it's only 1 week until the deadline, but it's really, really important for us that we receive good quality applications and we support you with your businesses. And this is, and as I said, this is a really pilot program, so we want to do it right. So feedback is always welcome. You can find us on LinkedIn, send us emails, and and that's it. Thank you so much all for making the time, and apologies for the technical glitch at the very beginning. Best of luck.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, everyone, for following us until the end. I would like to mention a special thanks for all of the Eve.live team. There has been a very, very big team working on this amazing platform you've been following the event on. And as Ahmed mentioned, we're really, really looking forward to receiving all of your applications. And in the meantime, all of the team will be available to answer your further questions. Thank you so much and have a nice day.